my esteemed colleagues on the bench, Mr. Patnaik, learned government advocate, and the Advocate General who's present online, Mr. Ashok Kumar Parija, Mr. Kirod Raut, learned Vice President, other office bearers of the Orissa High Court Bar Association, Mr. P.K. Padi, learned Assistant Solicitor General, Government of India, learned senior advocates, and members of the legal fraternity, members of the registry, ladies and gentlemen. With a deep sense of sadness, we have assembled today to condole the demise of Mr. Justice DEBA MOHAPATRA, former Judge, Supreme Court of India, and a much respected and highly regarded former judge of this court, who breathed his last on Wednesday, 31st August 2022, on the auspicious day of Ganesh Chaturthi, at the age of 85 years. Justice Mohapatra was born on 3rd August 1937 in Cuttack. His father was late Justice Sauri Prasad Mohapatra, who was a leading lawyer and later became a judge of this court. Justice Mohapatra received his early education at the Devonshaw Collegiate School, Cuttack. His college education commenced at Christ College, Cuttack, and continued at the Madras Christian College. He obtained the graduation degree from Ewing Christian College, Allahabad. After completing his graduation, he joined the Madhusudan Law College, Cuttack. After completing his law degree, he enrolled as an advocate and started practicing before this court on 12th October 1960. His area of practice in this court and in the district courts was constitutional, civil, and criminal laws. Justice Mohapatra was not only a scholar in his academic career, but proved himself to be a successful and distinguished advocate for nearly 23 years at the bar, between 1960 and 1983. He worked as Additional Standing Counsel, Government of Orissa, from August 1967 to February 1969, Standing Counsel for the Transport Department from March 1969 to February 1976, and was appointed Additional Government Advocate in March 1976. He served as a government advocate prior to his elevation as a judge of this court on 18th November 1983. He was the acting Chief Justice of this court between May 1995 to February 1996. Thereafter, he was appointed as Chief Justice of the Allahabad High Court in February 1996. He was sworn in as a judge of the Supreme Court of India on 9th December 1998. After his superannuation from the Supreme Court on 3rd August 2002, he was appointed as the first chairperson of the Odisha Human Rights Commission in July 2003. He continued as such till August 2007. When we speak of great judges, we have in mind those who have adhered to the essential qualities that Socrates described that every good judge should have: to hear courteously, to answer wisely, to consider soberly, and to decide impartially. Undoubtedly, Justice D.P. Mohapatra was one such great judge produced by this court, who held the flag of the judiciary high in the Supreme Court as well. Justice Mohapatra, as a judge of the High Court and during the tenure as a judge of the Supreme Court of India, authored several landmark judgments in the field of constitutional law, criminal law, intellectual property rights, taxation law, etc. In a judgment authored by Justice Mohapatra in Mathuram Agarwal versus State of Madhya Pradesh, it's a 1999 judgment, the issue before the 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court was regarding levy and collection of property tax in respect of buildings. While considering the said issue in the light of decided cases, the Supreme Court held that the statute should clearly and unambiguously convey the components of the tax law. It identified 3 essential elements of taxation. 1, the subject of tax. 2, the person who's liable to pay the tax. And 3, the rate at which the tax is to be paid. Justice Mohapatra indicated the legal position thus, and I quote, "The intention of the legislature in a taxation statute is to be gathered from the language of the provisions, particularly where the language is plain and unambiguous. In a taxing act, it is not possible to assume any intention or governing purpose of the statute more than what is stated in the plain language. It is not the economic results sought to be obtained by making the provision which is relevant in interpreting a fiscal statute. Equally impermissible is an interpretation which does not follow from the plain, unambiguous language of the statute. Words cannot be added or to be substituted so as to give a meaning to the statute which will serve the spirit and intention of the legislature. The statute should clearly and unambiguously convey the three components of the tax law, that is, the subject of the tax, the person who is liable to pay the tax, and the rate at which the tax is to be paid. If there is any ambiguity regarding any of these ingredients in a taxation statute, then there is no tax in law. Then it is for the legislature to do the needful in the matter. Unquote. Justice Mohapatra authored another 5-judge bench judgment of the Supreme Court in Kolhapur Cane Sugar Works versus Union of India, a judgment delivered in the year 2000. In this case, the court dealt with the definitions of central act, enactment, regulation, rule as defined in sections 3, subsection 7, 3, subsection 50, and 3, subsection 51, respectively, in the General Clauses Act, and held that section 6 of the General Clauses Act applies only to central acts and regulations and not to rules. He said, and I quote, section 6 is applicable where any central act or regulation made after the commencement of the General Clauses Act repeals an enactment. It is not applicable in the case of omission of a rule. The judgments delivered by Justice Mohapatra are perhaps the best example of what the 12 tables of 450 BC have prescribed. And I quote, a judge should not show favor to any particular lawyer. Judges must strive for the highest standards of integrity in both their professional and personal lives. They should be knowledgeable about the law, willing to undertake in-depth legal research, and able to write decisions that are clear and cogent. In Adhyatma Bhattar Arwar versus Adhyatma Bhattar Sridevi, a 2002 decision, Justice Mohapatra dwelt on the meaning of the word desertion in the context of section 13(1)(1)b of the Hindu Marriage Act 1955. He said, and I quote, therefore, for the offense of desertion, so far as the deserting spouse is concerned, two essential conditions must be there, namely, 1, the factum of separation, and 2, the intention to bring cohabitation permanently to an end, animus deserendi. Similarly, 2 elements are essential so far as the deserted spouse is concerned. 1, absence of consent, and 2, absence of conduct giving reasonable cause to the spouse leaving the matrimonial home to form the necessary intention aforesaid. The petitioner for divorce bears the burden of proving these elements in the 2 spouses respectively and their continuance throughout the statutory period. In the field of IPR, in Mahindra and Mahindra Paper Mills Limited versus Mahindra and Mahindra Limited, the facts were that the plaintiff company was incorporated in 1949, whereas the defendant paper mill company was incorporated in 1994. The plaintiff company apprehended that by the use of the name and words deceptively similar to that of the plaintiff as its corporate name, the intention of the defendant company was to pass off or likely to pass off to enable others to pass off its business and products as those of the plaintiff. Justice Mohapatra succinctly summarized the legal principle thus. Without intending to be exhaustive, some of the principles which are accepted as well settled may be stated thus, that whether there is a likelihood of deception or confusion arising is a matter for decision by the court, and no witness is entitled to say whether the mark is likely to deceive or cause confusion. That all factors which are likely to create or allay deception or confusion must be considered in combination. That, broadly speaking, factors creating confusion would, for example, be the nature of the market itself, the class of customers, the extent of the reputation, the trade channels, the existence of any connection in the course of trade, and others. He upheld the interim injunction granted in favor of the plaintiff company. Legal scholar Amaya speaks of the legal theory of exemplarism, according to which judicial virtues include moral, intellectual, and other qualities. Honesty, magnanimity, courage, and prudence are among the moral virtues that a good judge is expected to possess. He identifies the relevant intellectual virtues as comprising open-mindedness, perseverance, intellectual autonomy, intellectual humility, and practical wisdom. Other important judicial virtue is fidelity of law or judicial integrity. He states, and I quote, a good balance of these characteristics makes pragmatically good, admirable, and charismatic judges, unquote. Many of us who as lawyers have had the privilege of appearing before Justice Mohapatra can never fail to recall his remarkable quality of having an open mind about the case till the end. A lawyer in Justice Mohapatra's court could rest assured of a patient listening and a reasoned and deliberated decision. In the span of 20 years of illustrious judgeship, Justice Mohapatra left his mark in the annals of judicial history as a thoughtful, wise, and compassionate judge. His belief in the rule of law, his humility and affable personality earned the respect and admiration of the entire legal fraternity. He was a devoted family man and a mentor to many. The demise of Justice Mohapatra is a great loss, not only to his family and friends, but to the Indian judiciary as a whole. His life and his work will be an inspiration for all of us. Justice Mohapatra is survived by his wife, 3 daughters, and 4 grandchildren. On behalf of my sister and brother judges, and on my own behalf, I express our heartfelt condolences to the members of the bereaved family and pray that the departed noble soul of Justice PRIYA Mohapatra rests in peace. We also pray for the strength and courage to the members of his family to bear the irreparable loss.
My Lord, Honorable the Chief Justice, my Lord's companion judges, members of the registry, the Assistant Solicitor General of India, Sri Prasanna Kumar Padi, Sri Khirod Raut, Vice President of the Orissa High Court Bar Association, respected senior members of the bar, and my junior colleagues. Today is a day of immense sadness as we mark the tearful departure of late Justice PRIYA Mohapatra, former judge of the Honorable Supreme Court and a revered member of our bar. Late PRIYA Mohapatra was a thoroughbred gentleman whose mild, amiable nature endeared him to the bar and the bench alike, both as an advocate and even more so as a judge. There was an innate sense of humanism, rationality, and empathy in all that he did, which was magnified by his devout adherence to the ethics of professional life. Born into the rich lineage of lawyers and judges, there was little doubt on the professional journey of late Justice PRIYA Mohapatra would embark on. His father, Justice Sori Prasad Mohapatra, also presided as the judge of this honorable court. Justice PRIYA Mohapatra received his early education from Ravenshaw Collegiate School, Cuttack, and Madras Christian College, Madras. A brilliant student, Justice Mohapatra completed his graduation from the prestigious Eving Christian College, Allahabad, and studied law at MS Law College, Cuttack. He enrolled himself as an advocate at the Orissa High Court in 1960. He quickly established himself as an expert in many branches of law. He served as the Standing Counsel for the Transport Department and served a long stint in the Advocate General's office and was an advocate, as well as a government advocate for the state government in the Orissa High Court. Like father, like son, before long, his professional career, Justice PRIYA Mohapatra's patience, integrity, dedication, and love for all left an indelible impression on one and all, and he was cut out for long, fulfilling stint on the bench. Hence, it was not really a surprise to anyone when Justice PRIYA Mohapatra was elevated as a Justice of our Honorable High Court on 11th of November 1983 and served as a judge here till 15th of February 1996. Thereafter, Justice PRIYA Mohapatra was elevated to Chief Justice of the Allahabad High Court and on 16/2/1996 and on 9th December 1998, his judicial career reached its peak with his elevation as the Judge of the Honorable Supreme Court, wherefrom he retired on 3rd of August 2002. Justice Mohapatra's distinguished tenure at the Apex Court included being a part of multiple constitutional benches. He authored the judgment in Kolhapur Cane Sugar Works versus Union of India, which expounded on the effect of the repeal of a law as on pending proceedings under the repeal law. He further authored several judgments, including ESP Rajaram versus Union of India, wherein the Honorable Constitutional Bench of the Supreme Court elaborated on the binding nature of Supreme Courts to do complete justice under Article 142 of the Constitution. He has left a lasting legacy in the field of personal laws. In the midst of everything, late Justice PRIYA Mohapatra always championed the cause of the voiceless, the poor, and the most oppressed. His humanitarian outlook and integrity made him the standout choice for presiding the first chairperson of the Odisha Human Rights Commission after his retirement. Justice PRIYA Mohapatra led a fulfilling, complete life and breathed his last on the 31st day of August 2022 at the age of 86. Late PRIYA Mohapatra has indeed left inspiring footprints for us to follow and emulate. Justice Mohapatra was driven by a strong sense of duty, emboldened by the valor of his integrity and deep reverence for personal ethics. He would never stoop to trickery and valued honesty and hard work above all else. Work and family were the two pillars of his life. I and my colleagues express our heartfelt condolence on the sad demise of late PRIYA Mohapatra and pray to God that his soul may rest in peace. Let God give strength and courage to the bereaved family to withstand the loss.
My Lord, Honorable Chief Justice and Honorable Judges, Learned Advocate General of the State, Learned Assistant Solicitor General of India for State of Odisha, Learned Government Advocates, Learned Chairman Bar Council of Odisha, Officers of the Registry, Joint Secretary, Assistant Secretary and other office bearers of High Court Bar Association, Learned Senior Members and Learned Members of the Bar. With profound grief, I express my heartfelt condolence on the sad demise of late Justice PRIYA Mohapatra, former Judge, Supreme Court of India. Justice PRIYA Mohapatra was born on 3rd day of August 1937. His father, late Justice Sauri Prasad Mohapatra, was a judge of Orissa High Court. Justice Mohapatra received his early education from Ravenshaw Collegiate School, Cuttack, and Madras Christian College, Madras. He did his graduation from Ewing Christian College, Allahabad, and studied law at MS Law College, Cuttack. He enrolled as an advocate on 12th October 1960 and began his professional career from the Honorable High Court of Orissa. As a distinguished advocate for nearly 23 years at the bar, he handled several important cases on the constitutional, civil and criminal side in the Honorable High Court of Orissa, as well as in the subordinate courts. He worked as an additional standing counsel, Government of Orissa, from August 1967 to February 1969. He was the standing counsel for Transport Department from March 1969 to February 1976 and was appointed as additional government advocate in March 1976. He served as the judge of Odisha High Court from 18/11/1933 to 15/2/1996 and was elevated as the Chief Justice of Allahabad High Court on 16/2/1996. And then he was appointed as a judge in the Supreme Court of India on 9/12/1998. After retirement from Apex Court, Justice Mohapatra was appointed as the first chairperson of Odisha Human Rights Commission from July 2003 to August 2007. In the span of 20 years of illustrious judgeship, Justice Mohapatra has left an indelible impression as a humanist and rationalist judge in dispensation of justice. He was a devoted family man and mentor to many. He breathed his last at the private hospital in Cuttack on 31st day of August 2022, Wednesday, on the day of Ganesh Puja, at the age of 85 years. He survived by his wife and 3 daughters. I, on behalf of High Court Bar Association, express my heartfelt condolence on the sad demise of late Justice D.P. Mohapatra, former Judge, Supreme Court of India. May the departed soul rest in peace in the heavenly abode. I pray before the Almighty to give enough strength to the members of the bereaved family to bear such huge loss and rest his soul in peace. With these words, I take leave of my lords.
As a mark of respect to the departed soul, let us observe 2 minutes silence. The court work will remain suspended for the rest of the day.